Page 24, Where Do I Begin? It's the theme from the movie Love Story. This is in the key of A major, 3 sharps. I have a few things I'd like to point out. Rhythm-wise, no big deal here for the most part. It's eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and I play second finger on the C sharp. If you want to put thumb on it, you go right ahead. But there's a reason for that we'll get to a little later. Usually on a black key I like to use one of the other fingers because the thumb is such a short finger. Even when you're curling them, the thumb is still a short finger. So I use these other fingers, so I use 2. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's tied over. Second measure, 3, 2. And we're going to keep doing this pattern, it's like a sequence. You get that, I hope. Bottom line there on 24. Whether you use thumb or second finger here, it doesn't really matter. But get the E sharp. And then 1, 4. And I reckon this second measure, the bottom. 1, 4 on the A, F sharp. 2, 5. Not 1, 5, 2, 5, and then a 1, 4 or 1, 3, and then a 2, 3 for the whole note. So with that last 2 measures, you're here, and then you go up here, just cross over the little finger, it's okay. 2, 5, 1, 4, 2, 3. You could do 1, 3 and substitute the 4 if you want to, if it makes it easier for you. Then I just figured them all legato. Isn't that cool? Going on, top of page 25, you're coming down, playing sort of what you played over on page 24. You're playing sort of what you did on page 24, but an octave lower. Third line down, last measure. Here, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5. Get the E sharp. And then 2 on the E sharp. It's still an E sharp because you know the rule for accidentals. And then the next measure, C sharp, E sharp, A sharp. Isn't that just wonderful? And that's tied over. And then going on, it's a 1, 2, 4. It's an E natural there. Of course it's an E natural. They put in a natural sign, you don't need one. It'd be an E natural anyway. And then 3, 5, but hold the E down, like so. And now what? I do a 2 on the F sharp. You can use a 1 if you want to. I prefer 2. Then on page 26, it's all pretty straightforward for the first couple of lines, except maybe for the last measure, the second line there. You're here. I use a 2, 5 on the half note there. This is the last measure of the second line. Here. And then for the eighth notes is a 1, 2. Could be a 4 or 5, it's up to you. And then a 1, 3, 5 for the next chord. And then a 4 again. You can lift up here if you want to, or you can slide off. I'll leave that up to you. I like their fingering in the second measure. Now, third line, last measure. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and they put in a triplet. 4 and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and then follow their fingering at the bottom. Second measure, that is a B sharp, E sharp. Now, watch out. Going into the last measure of the page, the E sharp, I should say, is tied. So you're going to hold it down, but the B sharp goes to a B natural here. So it changed, watch out. So the last 2 measures is here and here. And then we go on to page 27, which is like it was at the beginning. I don't see anything really tricky in the right hand we haven't already talked about. I'll leave it up to you to discover all those wonderful things on page 27 for yourself. For the left hand, a lot of rolling chord, broken chords at the beginning. You pretty much got to put thumb here. You're in this position, pretty much. So if your fingers are too fat for that, you'll have to adjust accordingly. But I'm going to encourage you to be in this position. So it's here. This is all legato. Last measure is E sharp. Now here I like their fingering. One crossover. That's fine, but then we're back to our regular fingering. Last line, E sharp. You can do 4th or 5th, either one, it doesn't matter. But put a second finger on the second E sharp. That lets you have, or sort of prepares you to reach down for the G sharp. So it's here. And you just, again, you're just kind of rolling your hand. You're here, to here. You're not trying to cover all of these at the same time is what I'm saying. You don't need to. Just cover here and then roll your hand up to get this as kind of this roll here. To get there. And then second measure, play it with the 4th finger and substitute the thumb. And then lift up to continue. Now the last measure. I don't like this 1 2 1 2 1 2 stuff they've got going. I think that's a little dangerous. I'm going to recommend you do a 1 2 1 3 2 3. And to me that is much safer fingering than what they're trying to do. So it takes a little practice, but I'd encourage you to try it out. Top of page 25 again. 3 2 going up, and then you lift up and move down. Watch the fingering in the second measure. 4. See, we're trying to cover all of this in one shot, and so we're kind of moving our hand around like a spider walking around. You just kind of practice that measure over and over and over until it's comfortable, until you get it. Eventually you'll be able to do it without looking at the keyboard. Then you know you got it. First measure, the second line is the same type of thing, different notes. E sharps. They sure like a lot of E sharps in this piece. I guess level will do that to you. You gotta watch out. I don't know. Second line, last measure. E natural. D. Third line, second measure. The fingering. 5th finger. 1 4, and I recommend a 2 on the G sharp. 3 here. See, once I'm in this position, I'm staying here. I'm not moving around anymore. So I don't need 4th finger on the E sharp. So it's here. Again, that measure. 5th finger. 1 4 2 3 1. And I'm good to go. Last line again is crossover with the 3 2, not a 2 1. 3 2. 3 2. A sharp now. Last measure. I do a 5 2 on the B F sharp, and then 1 2 3 like they're saying. It's an A, a B, and a D. Yeah, are you in love yet? Page 26. It's an F sharp, G sharp, D. First measure. Second measure is a G sharp, A, C. It's up to you on the fingering on that. It's an uncomfortable chord to play, period. So you just have to find the fingering you like for it. I usually just do a 4 3 1. So you can do a 3 2 1. Your choice. Then keep going. last measure, the first line is an E, F sharp, C. Second line, G sharp. Back to that E sharp again. And then the second measure, I like their fingering here. See, we're covering those last two chords in one position. I like doing that because I don't like moving my hands around anymore and I have to. So yes, I like that fingering. And then the next measure, just come on down. Now, interesting here. On the third line down, first measure in the left hand. Now they're telling you to use third finger. I've been telling you to do that all along. 3 here. And then again, the last measure, use third finger when you cross over the thumb. The last line, D sharp, A sharp. They're all black keys on this one. So there should be no reason not to use the thumb. It's fine. And then the next measure, crossover with 3-2 again. Now this is tricky, but it's doable. Just do it. So you end up at the end of the page on second finger. And then it goes back to what it was doing on before for the left hand. Till you get to the bottom, last line on page 27, you're here. They're saying 4, 2, I like that. 4, 2, 3, 1, 2. Good fingering. Next measure, crossover with 3-2. 3-2. Substitute for the thumb, and then the last note is an 8VA under it. It's down here. If you have enough keyboard. If you don't, then you play the same one again. Dynamic wise, this is a gentle piece. It's got its ups and downs, but you'll see them in there, and once you get to know the piece, you'll feel the ups and downs, and that's where the fun starts, when you can feel the music. Phrasing wise, I don't know what to tell you on phrasing here. There's a difference of opinion. They've got a lot of phrasing in here, but it's not really phrasing. It's more like slurs. It's at the beginning on page 24. That's not a different phrase than me. I mean, read the words. Just follow the sentences in the words as best you can and phrase it according to that, in my opinion. So that first line to me is all on phrase. I would connect it all. Now here, you can lift up if you want. There's a comma there. We can take advantage of that. Or you can keep it connected. And again, we get a rest. So now we're in a new phrase. And at the bottom, the half note tied to a quarter note for the first, second, that ends a phrase. So now you're going to lift up. There, and at the top of page 25, between the first and second measures of the first line, that's different phrases, so you lift up. You got to move your hand anyway, so okay. So to me, it's like, I don't know about the phrasing. You'll have to pick and choose. Again, once you get to know it and read the words too, and kind of phrase it according to what's going on in the words, in my opinion. Melodies in the right hand, you're going to bring out the melodies. So you got to keep this left hand really soft because it's got so much going on, it'll tend to overpower it. If I play them both the same, keep the left hand soft here. Once you get all that figured out, then we'll add the pedal. It is overlapping pedal because this is all pretty much legato for the most part throughout, but I like to just clarify a few things with the pedal. So I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. And it looks like they're changing the pedal every 2 beats. with the left hand harmony in the left hand. We can follow that as the most part. They have a ped simile at the end of the first line, which means keep pedaling similarly to what you've been doing. Well, let's talk about it. We'll start out with every 2 beats. At the bottom of the page, the last measure, you start getting a little louder, and then at the top of page 25 you come back down. So we're going to go up here to here, and then we'll start coming back down. It's the left hand doing it. The right hand can't do squat because it's just holding the notes down. Everything comes up here, so we get a break in the sound before we go on. So the first measure is here at the top of page 25. Be sure and change the pedal on the 2 beats. So when you play the A, after you play that, you're changing the pedal. Now lift up. This will be tricky here because the left hand's kind of moving around a bit as it gets tricky, and when you start focusing on that and you start thinking about it, you'll start playing it louder. Don't. Keep it soft. The right hand has it, and the right hand is sort of soft or medium soft, so the left hand has to be pretty soft. And you're still pedaling every 2 beats here. Starting with the second measure. Now you have to be careful too with piano, and I have this problem I have to watch out for. It's like the second line on page 25. The right hand is down in here. It's getting kind of low. We keep getting lower and lower, and when that does that, it's harder to keep the left hand soft enough to hear the right hand, because the hands are so close together and they're so low that everything gets muddied. So be careful here when you come down here. If you're going to stay soft, you may have to make their left hand get even softer while the right hand is in this part of the keyboard. Now if the right hand were up here and the notes were far enough apart, it's easier to hear them, but not down here. So with that second line there, you're barely touching the keys in the left hand. I mean, these are really soft in the left hand. So left hand is soft. So third line down. Finally, at the second measure of the last line, now you're going to go up to a medium loud here. So the first measure is soft. That's sort of medium loud, I don't know. Again, they're telling you here to pedal the whole measure, don't change. They want to maintain this sound throughout, and if you pedal it in the middle, you lose this, so they want to keep it. And then we go on, and this is all legato pedal at the top of page 26, but now we're just changing it every measure. Remember to keep the left hand really soft. Second line, now we're back to pedaling every 2 beats. And then in the second line, second measure, going into the third. Now we're going to go up to a loud here, because we're already medium loud, supposed to be. So starting the second line. So starting with the last measure of the second line, we're loud here. You're still pedaling every 2 beats. The pet simile is back, isn't that wonderful? Again. I haven't really done anything with pedaling. I mean, I could change all kinds of pedaling and take out the smeariness. The smeariness, the blurriness, you know what this is. But the last measure, the third line there, here, when you have the triplets, you can go ahead and pedal through it if you want. My tendency is to lift the pedal up for the triplets so that they kind of stand more clearly by themselves. I mean, the left hand has a note, but that's supporting it. Bottom of the page, a retardando at the bottom of page 26. So we're going to slow down a little bit. So the last 2 measures of page 26 is here. Lift the pedal in the hands at the same time so we get a little silence before we go on, because now we're back to like it was at the beginning. Medium soft, and the melody's medium soft. It's pretty well. Third line down, last measure. I would pedal it again every 2 beats, so we're playing out the sound, because the piece is coming to an end and we're getting even more mellower and softer and all that. So it's. And then here at the end, leave the pedal down, let it all that smeariness, just keep the. You can change the pedal in the last measure if you want, but this smeariness is part of the effect. And then at the end, lift the keys up first, and then slowly lift the pedal up and let the sound die away. I don't know about an electronic piano, but on an acoustic piano that should work okay. Now, there's a poco retard at the end, so you can slow down a little bit as you go. The problem with this piece, and the way most people, including me, play it, is we tend to play it very mechanically. I did a recording of this on my other channel. I'm not real happy with it. It's a beautiful arrangement. It's a different arrangement than this. But the idea with this is to feel this, so you're not just playing note, 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 note. Like an etude or something. It's got a flow. You got to make it feel like the music has motion to it, and that's tricky. You can't do any of that until you learn the piece. Once you've learned the piece, then you start turning it into music. It's here. I don't know. I try and do it. I don't know if the electronics will pick it up, because the electronics I'm using tend to even out the dynamics. So my louds and softs are not so loud and soft here. Sounds great here in the room. You should be here. It's wonderful. It's just, but the electronics is evening it out. I haven't figured out a way to fix that yet. I haven't talked about page turns or anything. How to do the page turn, because you got to be able to do the page turn without messing up the beat. The beats, you don't stop, turn the page, and then keep going. Some people actually do that. Don't. Figure out a way to get the page turned without messing up the beat. You might have to memorize a measure or two before or after the page turn to make it happen. Or leave out a note or two. We don't want to, but sometimes you have to. But keep the beat going.